They say the town vanished overnight. One minute, it was a quiet little place on the edge of the Appalachian forest, and the next, it was gone. Not destroyed, not evacuated, just gone. Roads swallowed, homes hollowed, lives erased. But some people, they can't resist abandoned places. They say they're just exploring. But sometimes, exploring means waking up something that should have stayed buried. Trevor Martin wasn't a thrill seeker. He was a documentary filmmaker who hunted for silence, those forgotten places where time had stopped. After a rough divorce and the recent death of his mother, Trevor was unraveling, alone in a house that no longer felt like home. One night, while researching ghost towns for a new project, he stumbled across a grainy thread on an old paranormal forum. It spoke of Dunwich Hollow, a town not found on any map, abandoned since 1971, swallowed by the woods, and allegedly cursed. One post stood out. Dunwich wasn't left behind. It was condemned by something older than the land. Trevor was hooked. He had to find it. Maybe, if he could document the town, he could find purpose again. Or maybe he was just looking for a reason to disappear too. He packed light, camera, drone, voice recorder, survival gear. It was supposed to be a 2-day hike from the last marked trail near Claremont Ridge. Locals refused to speak of the place. One old man at a gas station just muttered, "Some place is close for a reason, son." Dunwich. It didn't close. It was locked, and we lost the key. The forest felt wrong the moment he stepped off the path. Trees leaned where they shouldn't. Birds didn't sing. The wind didn't move the leaves. It whispered through them. Trevor's GPS flickered, then failed entirely. But then, he saw it. Through the mist behind a curtain of thorns and ash-colored trees, Dunwich Hollow. It was real. The town looked frozen in time. Storefronts were intact. A rusted school bus sat in front of a crumbling school. Church bells hung silent above a steeple that leaned too far to the left, but there was no decay, no graffiti, no signs of looting. It was as if the people just walked out, or something made them. As Trevor explored, he noticed every house had its doors open, but nothing was touched inside. Plates still on tables, dolls still on beds, a rocking horse still gently swaying in an empty nursery. His voice recorder crackled as he whispered, "This place, it remembers." And then he saw the first one, a shape in the window, watching him, not moving, not human. In the mayor's house, beneath dust and silence, Trevor found a journal, leather-bound, pages worn with age and fear. It belonged to Mara Bell, a teenage girl. The last entry was dated October 13th, 1971. "They keep saying it's just sickness, but I see the shadows. They walk at night now, not just in the woods. Pastor John says the town is being punished. Mama cries in the cellar and Papa hasn't come back from the mine. We should have left. God forgive us." Trevor flipped the next page. There was no writing, just a single handprint burnt into the page. Suddenly the temperature dropped. His breath fogged in front of him. The door creaked shut behind him. Something was inside the house. Trevor ran down the street, past the hollow-eyed church, past the frozen playground. He reached the town square where a statue once stood, now shattered, its face gouged out. In its place, a ring of symbols scorched into the ground. Not paint, not blood. He filmed it, shaking, whispering, "This isn't abandonment. This is containment. This town, it was sealed." Then the camera caught it. Behind him, a figure, pale, no face, limbs too long, neck craned sideways like it had been broken, smiling. Trevor didn't look, but he felt it breathe. The next few hours were a blur. The town changed when the sun began to set. Streets bent in ways they hadn't before. Houses appeared where there were none. The school bell began to ring, though no one pulled the rope. He found a rusted tape recorder in the old police station. Pressed play. Dunwich Hollow must remain hidden. It isn't the town that's cursed. It's what's beneath it. We dug too deep in the mines. We woke something that feeds on presence, on attention, on memory. The more people remember it, the stronger it becomes. We sealed the town, and we erased it. If you're hearing this, it's already found you. Trevor dropped the recorder. It was whispering his name. Trevor ran, desperate. But the town shifted. No matter how far he walked, he kept returning to the square. The statue was back, whole, and it looked like him. He fell to his knees. "What are you?" he cried, and the air answered in a dozen voices. "We are forgotten, and now, so are you." He woke hours later, outside the town, alone, covered in ash. His camera still worked, but the footage was corrupted. Every face blurred, every sound garbled, every building erased. He made it out. But Dunwich Hollow wasn't done with him. 6 months later, Trevor posted his story to a conspiracy forum. No one believed him. But then, people started to look for Dunwich. One by one, they disappeared. Trevor sits in a dim room now, eyes sunken, voice hollow. They'll never find it again, not unless it wants to be found. But if you're listening, please, don't go looking. Some abandoned towns, they're not forgotten, they're waiting. Pause. And once you remember them, they remember you. There are stories that want to be told, and then there are stories that feed on being told. If you hear someone mention Dunwich Hollow, don't ask questions. Don't be curious. Just forget. Forget fast. Because the more you remember, the closer it gets. Fade to black. Ambient static and faint whispering. Trevor Martin found Dunwich Hollow and barely made it out alive. But he didn't leave empty-handed. He carried the curse. And now the town that should have stayed forgotten is remembering its way back into our world, one name at a time. Trevor tried to forget, but forgetting is impossible when it won't let go. Late one night, exhausted and half-drunk, he uploaded a single folder titled, "Dunwich, Do Not Open, Deep Web Only, Hidden, Encrypted, Buried in a Ghost Directory." He thought no one would find it, but curiosity always wins. 3 months later, the folder was cracked by a paranormal podcast team based in Oregon, Echo Reel. They downloaded the files, corrupted footage, static-filled audio, a journal fragment in Trevor's handwriting, and a warning. Forget what you saw, burn it. If you remember it, it will remember you. They laughed, thought it was performance art. They released an episode, called it The Lost Town of Dunwich Hollow. The next day, their host went missing. Detective Marla Jensen had seen weird things, but a podcaster vanishing mid-recording, leaving behind a warped laptop, melted earbuds, and the smell of ash, that was new. The only thing left untouched was the podcast mic, still recording. The audio, a whisper loop. She found us. She remembers. We're waking. We're coming. And then in Trevor's voice, they're not ghosts. They're memory predators. Dunwich is rebuilding itself through us. Trevor had changed. He spoke to no one. Curtains drawn, mirrors covered, walls scribbled with symbols in charcoal and dried blood. He knew the curse had rules. Don't speak the town's name aloud. Don't watch the footage at night. Never draw the map. He broke all 3. One morning, he carved the entire town layout on his office wall, accurate down to the last house. But here's the thing. Trevor had never drawn it before, and some buildings hadn't been there when he visited. Dunwich was growing. More disappearances. People connected to the podcast, listeners, editors, even a random commenter. All gone, all in the same way. Last known messages included phrases like, "I can hear the bell now." "Something is standing at the foot of my bed, tall and wrong." "I saw Trevor last night. He was smiling, but it wasn't him." And then, even Marla Jensen disappeared. Her phone was found in her cruiser, screen cracked, final photo, a blurred figure standing at the edge of the woods, limbs too long, head tilted, the Hollow Man. They call it the Hollow Man now. He's the first thing people see before they vanish, faceless, pale, dressed in tattered preacher's robes. Sometimes he wears a mirror for a face, so victims see themselves before he takes them. Trevor believed it was once Pastor John, the man who led the sealing of Dunwich, but he failed. He left behind a gate that never fully closed, and now every memory is a key, every mention a chisel. Trevor left one last voicemail on a burner line meant for his ex-wife. "I hear them building, in the walls, in my dreams. Dunwich isn't coming back. It's already here, in memories, in files, in clicks. It's digital now, viral. You can't seal it anymore, you can only forget." Long pause. "If I disappear, don't come looking. Let it end with me." They found his house empty, walls charred, a single note written in mirror script on his ceiling. Some towns don't stay lost. Some want to be found. If you're still listening, if you've heard the name, if you've pictured the Hollow Man in your head just now, soft breath, you've already started remembering it. Music rises slowly, deep, vibrating static with faint bells. Narrator, close your eyes. Burn this memory. Forget this place. Because the next time you hear that church bell, it won't be in a story. Fade out with a child's whisper. Come back to Dunwich. You don't have to go to Dunwich anymore. It comes to you. It grows through attention, through the minds of those who remember it. It changes places, bends reality. Cities, suburbs, homes, all vulnerable now. And what started in the forest is leaking into the world. It began subtly, in a quiet Massachusetts suburb called Somerville. People started waking up, and their houses were different. A family found an unfamiliar attic. One man discovered a staircase leading down, even though he lived in a one-story home. A child said, "There's another bedroom upstairs, but we don't go there. That's where the tall man lives now." When the town planner compared maps, they didn't match. Roads shifted. Some streets curved differently. An entire block, Briar Lane, appeared overnight. And on it stood a church that no one remembered building. Locals heard a bell ring at 3:17 a.m., the same time it rang in Dunwich Hollow. That week, a live stream glitched during a tech conference in Boston. Static overtook the feed. A broken voice emerged. Trevor Martin's voice. Only now. It wasn't pleading, it was chanting. The Hollow remembers. The path has opened. Come home, come see the church. The stream cut out after 13 seconds. Every person who viewed it experienced the same dream that night. A burning town square, a faceless crowd, a church bell ringing backward. 2 attendees were found dead in their hotel rooms, eyes wide open, smiling. A government agency, unnamed and unofficial, started noticing a pattern. People who interacted with Dunwich material, audio, video, written, began drawing maps, identical, accurate, labeled with street names and symbols they couldn't explain. One psychiatrist, Dr. Elena Burke, began treating these infected individuals. She documented 23 cases. Case number 17 wrote, "Every time I draw it, I forget my own house. My real house. The town is replacing my memories." Case number 21, burned herself and left a note. The bell tolls inside me now. When it rings again, I won't be me. Dr. Burke? She vanished during a session. All that remained was a Polaroid of a church steeple against a blood-red sky. Then the children began to speak. They hummed a lullaby no adult had taught them, a hymn from Maribel's old journal, words lost since 1971. They spoke of games played in Ash Park and a teacher named Mr. Hollows who never blinks. Schools reported missing hours in the day. Entire lessons skipped. Students couldn't recall mornings or afternoons. One girl, Anna Fields, wrote a story in class titled "The Town That Eats Other Towns." It ended with this line: "One by one, the other towns forget who they were, until all that's left is Dunwich." The digital world was next. An untraceable IP began seeding files under the tag .hollowed, images, voice logs, schematics of the town. Some files were blank, but once downloaded, they changed. One user opened a file named Dunwich Room 7. The lights in his house went out, then came back on, and there was a door in his hallway that had never been there before. Inside, a rocking chair, facing the corner, still warm. He tried to delete the file, but it was already on his ceiling, burned in upside down. Officials tried quarantines. They burned buildings, scrubbed forums, blocked keywords. But the idea was viral, and Dunwich doesn't need space. It needs memory. Even speaking its name is enough to give it shape. Trevor once said, "If you map it, it grows. If you imagine it, it arrives." The town builds itself in the gaps of your mind. Now entire blogs in 5 different cities have been hollowed. And always, the hollow man watching from a window, no one remembers installing. An insider leaked a final warning, a sound file labeled "Final Bell.wave." Only 5 seconds long. A church bell tolls, but backward. Low, dragging, distorted. Every person who heard it either vanished within 72 hours or was institutionalized. Their shared message? The town is ready. The gate is everywhere now. It's no longer about where, it's about when. You've heard the stories. You've pictured the streets. Maybe you even whispered the name once, thinking it was fiction. Pause. But the curse was never about belief. It was about memory, curiosity. And now you're part of the map. Soft static rises. Narrator. So if one night you wake up and your hallway seems longer, or the mirror doesn't reflect quite right, or there's a bell ringing in the far distance, shuddered breath, you'll know. Dunwich has found you. You can't run. You can't hide. And now you can't forget. Dunwich is no longer just a place. It's a parasite. And the only way to stop it is to cut out a heart. But what if the heart is still beating? His name was Miles Enoch, a former military cryptographer turned urban myth investigator. He didn't believe in curses, only patterns. When Dunwich began spreading, digitally, mentally, physically, he saw something others missed. Each outbreak aligned with ancient fault lines. And beneath every map of the town, no matter how drawn or imagined, was the same geometric symbol. A spiraling eye, a sigil etched in bone. Miles followed the lines to where it all began, the ruins of the real Dunwich Hollow. But when he arrived, it was no longer abandoned. The houses were rebuilt. Smoke curled from chimneys. Children's laughter echoed faintly, like it had been recorded, and was being played back wrong. He set up camp on the ridge. He wasn't planning to return. Miles found it by accident, a sinkhole where the old church once stood. Beneath it, a spiral staircase of black stone leading deep into the ground. Down there, reality felt loose. Lights bent. Time stalled. His watch ticked backward. His teeth ached. Blood ran up his nose. And then he found it. Not a basement, a temple. Ancient, older than any American settlement, covered in carvings of elongated figures, bowing to something above them. Something with a mirror for a face. In the center of the room, a heart. Not metaphorical, not stone. Beating, wet, alive, connected to the ceiling with black veins that pulsed, in sync with Dunwich's bell. He heard it then. A voice, familiar, hollow. Trevor Martin, only it wasn't quite him anymore. You made it, Miles. You made it all the way down. But you won't leave. No one leaves after seeing the heart. Miles raised his gun, but his hands weren't his anymore. They turned gray, withered, translucent. It's not a town, Miles. It's a god seed, a root system, a nervous system for something that wants to remember how to exist. And every time someone maps it, draws it, says it, it gets closer to waking up. Miles knew what had to be done. He'd brought thermite. He wired it around the heart, set the timers. But as he turned to leave, they were waiting. The hollow people, faceless, flickering like bad film, twitching, and behind them, the hollow man. Miles closed his eyes and whispered the final line from Maribel's journal. Ash to ash, memory to dust. Sever the mind, seal the husk. The blast echoed through the temple. The mountain above collapsed. Smoke poured for days. The forest burned in unnatural green fire. For a while, it worked. The whispering stopped. The bell fell silent. The children forgot the lullabies. The maps vanished from desks. The looping dreams ended. Some even believed the curse was broken. But no one ever found Miles's body. Only a charred notebook near the crater's edge. Its final page read, "I burn the heart." But something deeper is still dreaming. I felt it blink, not wake, just blink, and it saw me. If it wakes up fully, we're not just doomed, we'll be replaced. 6 months later, a small town in Kansas began building a new development on unclaimed land. They didn't notice that the street names matched an old burned map. That the church foundation was poured on the spring equinox. That a single black-veined tree had grown in the center of the cul-de-sac overnight. At 3:17 a.m. on the night of the ribbon cutting, a bell rang. Once, twice, 13 times. The echoes went unheard by most, but those who had once drawn the map, they woke in cold sweat, with a single word carved into their bedroom walls. Remember. Dunwich doesn't need a town anymore. It lives in ideas now, in images, in memory. It grew a heart. Now it wants a mind. And every time you replay this story, you're feeding it static, forget, or be remembered by it.